Hello, this is Julian Lage here with my dear friend Master Jorge Roeder. And we are thrilled to be a part of the Sweetwater Gear Fest made possible by our great friends at D'Addario. We thought we would talk about a couple songs from our new record, Squint. It just came out on Blue Note Records just recently. Play a little bit of them for you, talk about what we find cool about them with some demonstrations. So to kick things off, we want to play a song called St. Rose. This is a song dedicated to the town I grew up in, Santa Rosa, California. And we'll play you a little bit of it now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you have St. Rose, the melody. Something that I find distinctive about this song is really the interplay between what I think of as like two brains of the guitar roll. One brain is functions as like the accompanist. It could be almost like the thing of the double stops is like its own rhythm section, driving propulsive part, and that's this part that we'll play it for you just in isolation. 1, 2, 3, 4. What I notice even in playing it for you right now is that a part like that with the double stops and the lower register of the guitar kind of points my ear towards Jorge in the role of the bass. It's almost like a way for my ear to orient to the groove, the propulsion. In other words, it's very settling for me to play that. As a total scene change, the next part, the other brain I was speaking of earlier, has to do with this melody which is incredibly lyrical, or at least that's the aim. This is That's the basic part of the melody. But when we actually play it as a band, we play it on the record, I find that the more embellishment, the better, because this is now a time in the song where I can be free. I can play the melody, I can ignore it, I can add trills, I can add bends. It's kind of the time to show off that side of the guitar. Let's just play a little bit of the melody right on it. 1, 2, 3, 4. switch to the other brain. For me, having a song where the guitar can play a couple different roles is just a fun challenge. And also, when writing, I think it sometimes takes the pressure off of the melody being the most important part. It's a guitar, it's polyphonic, it can do it, so why not? That's kind of my take on it. To date, that's my approach. Before moving on, I wanted to speak very briefly about the soloing tactic on this song, because though we didn't play the solo before, it's kind of a centerpiece. I mentioned the relationship of the guitar to the bass. For me, it's all too rare that I get to improvise in the lower register of the guitar, meaning on those strings, E, A, and D. The tendency, of course, for me is to live up in the designated soloing register, the real juicy parts. But the low end of the guitar is not all that low. It's still, what, an octave above you, right? So I kind of, again, I'm looking for the marriage between our two instruments. So just for a second, let's take it from the vamp going into the solo. And we'll play a brief solo to show kind of how we utilize the lower register, and perhaps how you utilize the higher register as commentary. 1, 2, 3. So there you have it. You build this tension, right, where there's so much low, which is really not that low, we've discussed. And then when, Jorge, you comment on it, your notes sound like they're singing above the bass register, which I love. Furthermore, when I do go up high and hit a note, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of one of these conclusions that I've been craving the whole time. And I think we crave them all that much more when we haven't heard them. So St. Rose is kind of a song that looks at that. I'd like to speak about one other song before we leave you today, and this is also from our new record called Familiar Flower. The song is called Familiar Flower. This is kind of a different sonic palette. I'm going to turn off the tremolo. And this is a look at swing feel, basically. More specifically, this almost geoprismatic, meaning like look from all angles, look at speeding up and slowing down. Okay? When you play a melody, just because there's a tempo to the melody doesn't mean you have to stay in it. And it doesn't mean that everyone has to play the same tempo at the same time. So this will be a very brief look at it. Why don't we just play a little bit of the head, and we'll stop right after it. Jorge, kick us off. Stop there. So as you can see, there are these components, right? It almost has that Bo Diddley groove. Something very clear. in this first melodic component, da 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 ba da ba da ba da da, I feel just kind of introduces the overall, I guess, agreed upon tempo. But the follow-up is what deals with the speed up, this line. Now, I suppose because I wrote it, I give myself a lot of wiggle room. Where as long as I play something faster, it works. So even if I totally eat it, which happened right there, the sentiment is the same, that there's a surge. It's like I can play anything. That's kind of the point. Then a quick scene cut back to... This is more or less in time. But there's a bit of a speed up. It's just trying to get the surge, getting the surge. What this allows for, to me, is kind of a wide open landscape of possibilities when you get into the improvisation. Meaning that if the precedent is set, that we're not just playing straight or swung eighth notes in the bebop tradition, when you get to soloing, not only do I continue to have freedom, but so does Jorge. Right? Because now suddenly all bets are off. We've agreed that that's a zone we can go to. One question I have for you, Jorge, before we wrap this up is just knowing what it's like if I pull away from you in terms of time and I'm playing faster or slower than you, does that make your job more challenging, easier? What's it like for you?
For me, I enjoy the change of pace, because the way it relates to what the bass is doing, it reinforces it. If we are two parts of one machine, let's say we are one drummer, then it's as if one limb is keeping time and the other one is not. But keeping time is also a relative thing. It just happens to be what I'm doing, which is moving air in a particular rate.
Absolutely. So
what feels to me like the core of this song is the change of paces of the limbs.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, I love the change of the paces of the limbs. That describes how it feels, right? Where we have different roles, but they all connect back to the same core. And like you so beautifully include in that, keeping time isn't really a function of making music, right? Music is time, and sometimes, especially as jazz players, we feel like we have to make it. We have to agree upon how it feels and make it really solid. It gets incredibly pragmatic. In a song like this, we're celebrating the kind of absurdity of it, right? You know, it's like we actually are totally free. It's just how far we're willing to go and push that envelope. Anywho, I am so thrilled to just share a little glimpse into our process with these songs. There's a lot more I'd love to share with you, but we hope you enjoy what we've provided today. Once again, a thank you to Mr. Jorge Roeder, the master. Thank all of you. Thank you to Sweetwater Gear Fest and our friends at D'Addario Strings. Just be safe, take care, and we'll see you really soon.